Does your home ever feel a little bit stale? Like you walk into a room and you can't quite put your finger on it, but it just feels a little blah, a little bit boring, a little bit like it's been the same forever, it doesn't inspire you. If that's how you feel, then don't worry, you're not alone. Lots of us feel that way from time to time about our home. Our home should make us feel good. It should inspire us. It should give us that little moment of joy when we walk back through the door, when we come home again to it. And sometimes, for a variety of reasons, it just doesn't. But the good news is that you don't have to have a huge budget. You don't need a massive makeover, and you certainly don't need to be a professional interior designer to make some really easy tweaks that will bring you back to that feeling of loving your home again, about feeling that it's feels refreshed and it just makes you feel good when you walk back into the room. And I'm here to give you some hints and tips today on exactly how to do that. Hi, I'm Lynn. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Now, if you stop and think about it, your surroundings can make a huge impact to the way that you feel every day. And if you're living in a home that stays exactly the same throughout the whole year, it possibly can start to feel a little bit stagnant. And that's why I really feel that if we can make some changes, just some little tweaks here and there, switch things up a little bit as we go through the year, maybe even just add a little nod to the season that you're in, it can just make a huge, huge difference to your space. It can really make that space feel alive again. And I think that's what happens when you walk in and you just can't put your finger on it and it just feels a little bit blah. It's probably just because it's been the same for so long. And by just switching it up, you really will just inject a little bit of life into that space again. And that's where I think seasonal decor can really come into its own. And by seasonal decor, I don't mean adding, a whole bunch of bunnies in the spring or a whole bunch of pumpkins in the autumn, although you totally can. But it's more just about thinking about how you want to feel in that space at a particular time of year, and then just doing little things with your decor, making little tweaks here and there, just to align your space with how you want to feel in it. Think about how you feel when the seasons change. There's a real shift in energy. If you think about the kind of crispness of autumn, the sort of coziness of winter, the freshness of spring, that lighter, more relaxed feeling in summer. And I think these are all feelings that we want to capture in our home. And shifting our decor as the seasons change is a really easy way to do that. That's what you're feeling when you walk into a room that you feel uninspired by, that you just feel is a little bit blah, you're not sure what's going on. It's the energy in that room that you really are feeling. And so by paying attention to that and really consciously thinking about how you want to feel in that space at each time of the year, it gives us something to align our decor to, and it makes it really easy to make those changes. And one of the best parts is that you don't have to be continually buying new things. By cycling things in and out, things that you already own, you can keep your home feeling really dynamic and fresh and interesting. And each time you bring those pieces back out again, they will feel new to you, or they'll feel like greeting old friends. And it's just a really cost effective way to be continually refreshing your space. Seasonal decor isn't about trends or making your home look a certain way. It's much more about how your space makes you feel. And when your home feels more in sync with the season, you feel much more naturally connected to it. You feel much more uplifted and therefore much more at home when you're in it. So, as an example, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, I always struggled with the way my home looked in January. After Christmas, you bring all your Christmas decorations down and it just looks really, really bleak. It just looks stark. And I started to think, well, how do I want to feel in my space in January? Well, January can be very cold and certainly very dark here in Scotland. You know, it's still like dark really early in the day. And yeah, I wanted my space to feel cozy and warm. I wanted to feel comforted. And so I started to think about, well, what elements can I bring into my space that are going to give me those feelings? And for me, that's what seasonal decor is all about. How do I want to feel at that time of year? And what things in my space, what are the different elements that I can switch up, change out to help me create that feeling that I want to feel? So, what are the things that we can switch out to give us that feel that we're after? Well, number one on the list is definitely going to be your soft furnishings, your throws and your cushions, cushion covers. I would say, where possible, try and pick up a pillow cushion size that works for you and just be switching out the cushion covers because they're so much easier to store. Why does that work? Well, it's instant impact. In the winter, you're looking at the sort of faux furs, cozy, chunky knits, and then in the spring, summer, lighter materials, maybe lighter colours, but it's a really easy one. It takes 2 minutes to swap over a throw and a cushion cover, and it really does give a big, fast impact. Number two on the list would be switching out the scent in your home. You know, the scent that comes from the reed diffusers that you have, or maybe you burn, an oil burner, or the candles that you burn, or maybe it's your cleaning products. You can go for lighter citruses and florals in the spring and summer, and go towards those cozier cinnamons and vanillas as the autumn and winter comes. Why does it work? Well, scent is one of the quickest mood boosters that you can get, and it really does evoke those feelings of the season. So yeah, switching out your scents, and again, it's a really, really easy one to do. Couple of minutes, switch out a candle, switch out a reed diffuser, and it can really make a big impact. Number three on the list would be switching out your seasonal greenery or your florals. Maybe introducing a bunch of daffodils in the spring or some sunflowers, in the summer, switching out the wreath on your front door. I am a big lover of faux stems. I've become quite the collector. I'm not very good with house plants. Bunches of flowers, that's fine, a bunch of daffodils or sunflowers or fresh flowers, whatever. But I'm really not very good with house plants. Garden outside, much better. Indoor, not so much. So over the years, I've gathered together quite the collection now of seasonal stems, and I just love the way that it instantly switches up your space. And that's why it works so well, because it really does give instant impact, and it can either be the colors of the season or just the general feel of the season. But yeah, switching out your seasonal greenery and florals for a big instant impact, that's a really simple, quick win. Number four on the list is to adjust your lighting as you go from one season to the next. When you think about the autumn winter months, for example, you want to get that cozy feeling, and you normally get that from lighting that's lower down. So maybe that means that you think about shifting some of your table lamps around to give you that feel. Think about introducing some twinkle lights. I'm a big believer that twinkle lights are not just for Christmas. I like to have mine out right through to spring. Or maybe in the spring and summer months, it's more about getting as much natural light into your room as you can. So maybe you've got blinds that are normally down at other times of the year, and you might think about, throwing them right up, getting those curtains as wide open as you can, letting as much natural light flood in. Why does it work? Well, lighting can have a dramatic impact on the whole mood and ambience of a space. So if you want to get your room feeling right, then you must not neglect the lighting. The next thing that you can do, which is just a really easy seasonal switch out, would be to change up a centerpiece, whether that's in the middle of your dining table or your coffee table. And it really just involves having something there maybe year round. Maybe it's a bowl that you love, but you change up the contents. So maybe in the winter it's pine cones, or in the summer it's seashells, or you can get some lovely kind of decor balls that are white, light, airy, that type of thing. But it's such a simple thing to do. Again, it's a 2-minute job, easy to store the out of season contents, tuck them away in a cupboard somewhere. And why does it work? Because visually, it really does give your brain that nod to the season that you're in. The next thing would be to introduce a seasonal colour to your space. And by that, I mean, let's think about summer. For some people, when they think about how they want to feel in summer, it might be yellow, it might be, sunshiny days, sunflowers. For some people, it might be a kind of cool blue colour. There's lots of ways that you can do it. You can do it with cushion covers, you can do it with, a little piece of pottery or a little vase somewhere. It might even just be, the napkins on your kitchen countertop. This can be really affordable. You can thrift it, you can go to charity shops, you can go to budget stores. Treat it like your Christmas decor. It's something that you're going to have out for the season, and then you're going to tuck it away again. So you're going to cycle it back out, the next year. And it just gives you that little pop of seasonal colour. Why does it work? Well, these little elements of colour here and there can make a big impact without completely overwhelming your space. Next thing that you can do is to think about switching out your bedding. Think about introducing some, maybe crisp white linen in the summer, or something, with a light kind of floral print. Or in the winter, you can go for something darker, cozier, maybe like a kind of tartan or something like that. As long as it works with your general decor in the space, it's a really quick and easy way without having to do, a full bedroom makeover. My next idea is a big one for me in my home, and that is to rotate in some seasonal dinnerware, serveware, mugs, seasonally appropriate. And whether that is the colours, lighter, brighter colours in spring, summer, or the kind of cozier colours in the autumn, winter, or maybe it is actual seasonal designs. I've got a whole seasonal mug collection, and it's a big kind of thing in my home. When one season shifts into the next, I tuck all those mugs away and I bring out my next season's mugs. And mine are more kind of seasonal designs rather than just the colours, and I've kind of collected them over the years. But it just adds a little something to those daily rituals, making your coffee, making your cup of tea, and drinking it out of a seasonal mug. Now, switching out your dinnerware may just be completely over the top for some people, because it's like, where are you going to store it? But yeah, I have some seasonal platters for serveware, and I definitely do it with my seasonal mugs. But yeah, it is a fun thing to do, and yeah, another way just to celebrate the season. Next on the list would be to incorporate some seasonal books into your space. Now, that could either be because the cover is a seasonally appropriate colour, or it might be that the title is giving a nod to the season. There's so many different ways that you can incorporate books into any decor scheme, having them stacked on your coffee table, or use a couple to give a little bit of height to a candle or an ornament, or maybe have something open on a stand on your kitchen countertop. And I think that your home really should be a reflection of who you are. It should tell your story. And so maybe you're someone that loves to travel. So in the summer, you might add a lot of travel books, in and around the place. Or maybe you're someone that loves to cook. And so having some good seasonal cookbooks around the space would be a way to go. And it's just a great way to incorporate intentionally things that you probably already have. And if you don't, it's actually really easy to go to any kind of budget bookstore these days and find a few titles that would work, or maybe go to a local antique store, or I don't know, maybe like a thrift store or a charity shop and buy a few titles just because they've got the colour that you want to incorporate into your room at a particular time of year. But you really can do it for little cost. But yeah, why does it work? Because it adds a real injection of your personality into that space. Another idea would be to switch out your doormat. You could go for something with a kind of seasonal saying or seasonal print on it, but of course you don't have to. You can easily just go for something, maybe like a Hessian matting in the spring and summer, and maybe something a bit darker and chunkier to cope with all that mud and rain and snow in the kind of autumn winter months. And why does it work? Well, it is so quick to switch out a doormat and it makes a really big first impression. Next on the list would be to rotate and switch out some little seasonal vignettes, whether it's just on the end of your kitchen island, or maybe you're pulling together a few items on a tray. It's so easy just to kind of have something, like one element that gives a nod to the season, and then just add to a couple of other things that you can have all year round. And why does it work? Well, it's a really quick switch out. It's a really easy way just to add one element, two at the most, as a nod to the season without adding a whole lot of clutter to your space. Something else you could think about doing would be to switch out or add some additional rugs from one season to the next. Think about maybe some jute rugs in spring, summer, maybe some richer, cozier ones in the autumn, winter. I use faux fur, kind of faux sheepskin rugs, and scatter them around the place. I actually sometimes put them on my coffee table underneath a tray in the winter, or I might throw one over the back of a chair. And you can get these for a really affordable price, and they're nice and soft and easy to tuck away, when you don't want to have them out when the next season rolls around. But yeah, rugs are another thing. And why does it work? Because it really visually does make a big impact when you walk into that space, and it can just change up the whole feel of the room. And my next suggestion is a little bit off the wall, but we're talking about how you want to feel in that space. And if you're someone that loves to play music at home, how about some seasonal playlists? So, nothing to do with your home decor, it's not in any way to do with the way that your room looks, but we are talking about how your space feels. And music can really play a big part in that. So, yeah, think about having some fun putting together a seasonal playlist. And it's on its own, it's not going to make a huge difference. But in conjunction with some of these other things that we've talked about, it might just give you all the change that you need. So let's say you're on board, you think, yeah, Lynn, that's pretty doable. I reckon I could do that. How do we make it happen? Well, the first thing I would suggest that you do before you go out and buy anything new is to take a good look, take a walk around your home, see what's there. Pull all those decor items out that you've got, hidden at the back of the cupboard that you haven't used for years, and just see what you've got, because we've all done it. We've gone out and bought things and brought them home and then thought, I think I've got something like that that is at the back of the cupboard that hasn't been used for years. So definitely do that first. Have a look at all the things that you've got that can do, multi-season. So you might have a vase that is just like a crisp white that could look equally, cool in summer with some lovely summer florals. It could equally look cozy in autumn winter with the right, autumn winter stems in it. So, what are the things that you've got that you can keep out all year and just change, elements of? So, before you go out and buy anything, check what you've already got. The next thing would be, don't attempt to do the entire house. Just pick a few key areas that you want to focus on. It will make the whole thing feel much more manageable. Going back to the idea right at the start of this video, which was you've walked into a room in your home that feels stale and you can't put your finger on it, that's the space that you are going to focus on first. And once you get the feel, that you want to feel in that space, then you can think about going on to other spaces. The most common ones probably would be your lounge, maybe your hall entryway, kitchen, family room. It's the spaces that you spend the most time in. So yeah, don't attempt to do the whole house at once. Just pick the key spaces that you want to do first. The other thing would be to have a little think about how this is going to work in practical terms for you. Are you going to do it with seasonal colour, or are you maybe going to think about doing it more with texture? If you've got a completely neutral background in the room, it's much easier to do it with colour. But for a lot of people that, maybe the room is already decorated in a very specific colour that is very difficult to introduce traditional seasonal colours into. But you can still do that with texture. Much lighter throws and cushion covers, for instance, in spring, summer, much chunkier weights, heavier weights in the autumn, winter, that type of thing. So have a look at the space that you want to do and decide for yourself, are you going to do it with colour, or are you going to just do it with texture? Because that's really important. We did say we're not talking about a whole makeover, a whole redecoration of the room. So have a think about which way is going to work for you right at the start. And let's just say that your existing colour scheme in the room that you're going to tackle is very specific colours that do not lend themselves to being accented with traditional seasonal colours. There is another way that you can do it. So let's just say that the room that you're working with is, I don't know, dark purple and cream. The way that I would tackle it is in the spring, summer, I would really dial up that cream as an accent. So I would be putting in, light coloured cream throws and cushion covers and pops of cream with the cream kind of vases or cream floral stems, that type of thing. And then come the autumn, winter again, I would dial those cream accents right back down and really dial up the purples, maybe introducing, some navies or kind of dark, cozy colours that would work well with the purple. But you're not going anywhere near traditional seasonal colours. But again, going back to what we said at the start, it's about how you want to feel in that space. And, whether it's dialing up the light colours in spring, summer, or dialing up the dark colours in autumn, winter, that swing from one to the other is going to give you all those feels that you want. And my other advice would be just have fun with it. Our homes are supposed to be a reflection of us. They're an unfolding story. They're not really supposed to be like the inside of a magazine or, a pin on Pinterest. I think that, we're all bombarded with these images and it can make us feel less than. I love home decor. I love experimenting with it, but my home certainly does not look perfect, less than 20% of the time, I would say. I love to walk into a home and just think, this feels lived in, this feels loved. I would far rather have that any day over walking in somewhere that feels sterile, like the designer has just left the building. So that's what you're going for. Think about, as I say, how you want to feel in that space. And, when you're choosing pieces or thinking about what you're going to do, just think about, is that going to get me closer to how I want to feel in that space or not? And then that just makes it easier to decide whether something is in or whether it maybe just isn't going to work for you at this particular time of year. This video is going to form part of a series, so you're definitely going to want to subscribe if this has been useful to you. There will be plenty more videos coming on just kind of basic styling principles and really just how to come home to a space every day that you love and really how to make your home your haven. So that is going to be it for today, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.